Parashat Beshalach. As the narrative turns from despair to deliverance, from desperation to liberation, we are told several times that the Jewish people brought with them valuables taken from the Egyptians. The gold and silver they collected in Egypt, simply understood as reparations for 200 years of slavery, dates back to the promise God made to Abraham that the children would leave Egypt with material comfort. Rav Kook posits that the purpose of their newly acquired wealth was to ensure a successful settlement in the land of Israel. The new commonwealth of the Jewish state would require deep financial resources to ensure a thriving economy and provide financial opportunities to sustain the social and societal welfare of the people. Others suggest that the gold and silver were to be dedicated to the future Mishkan, the tabernacle, and later used for the Beit HaMikdash, the temple to be built in Yerushalayim. As a side comment, I have mentioned several times to our students that material wealth is neutral. It can be used to enhance our personal lives and contribute towards sustaining our society, or, unfortunately, material wealth can be abused and misappropriated when corrupt values cloud our judgment. The Jewish people learned that lesson the hard way. Indeed, the gold and silver was used for the tabernacle, but unfortunately, much of it was used for the golden calf. In contrast to the gold and silver that the people carried with them, we are informed that Moshe was insistent on personally carrying out Yosef's remains. The verse describing Moshe's chesed is prominently featured in the beginning of our parsha. Carrying out his remains reflects Moshe's values and devotion. He didn't assign the task to any of his followers. Rather, he personally fulfilled the promise of the Jewish people to remove Yosef's remains to bring them ultimately to the city of Shechem. To his great historical credit, Yosef's tomb is still in Shechem, and although mostly inaccessible, it is a reminder of the eternal endurance of a good deed. This one-verse description of Moshe's loyalty to Yosef reflects Moshe's educational mission. Certainly it can be mentioned that he was teaching his people about Hakarat HaTov, recognizing the benefits we receive from others and demonstrating gratitude. It's as if he was saying, let's never take the goodness people provide for us for granted. Let's recognize the contributions that others have made to better our lives. But I believe there's an additional component to Moshe's historical demonstration of kindness. Whereas the Jewish people were looking to the future, anticipating the establishment of the commonwealth of the Jewish people in Israel, preparing for their journey through the desert, excited to receive the Torah and ultimately settle the land, Moshe was thinking about the past, our collective memory. Whereas we need to be aspirational and dream beyond our horizons, we always need to be anchored and inspired by our history. Rabbi Sachs explains that Jews see history as memory. Tradition and transmission of values are ways to transfer memories and experience to each generation. We aren't just telling the story of the redemption and Passover. We see ourselves as if we left with the redeemed slaves. We don't only remember what Amalek did to us when we left Egypt, we embed the story in our psyche to prepare ourselves for future encounter with enemies. In his words, history is his story and memory is my story. We internalize the experiences of the past to guide us and use those stories as lessons for the future. Moshe took Yosef's remains as a way of demonstrating that the new chapter of the Jewish people would be built upon the previous story in the book. Each previous story becomes an experience. Each experience internalizes as a memory, and each memory fortifies and sustains our collective and personal identities. This parsha is one of great celebration, and it is instructive to always frame our personal and national celebrations within the context of our history and our own memories to ensure our continuity and our future. Shabbat Shalom.